Lucilla's debate against Space Trek Collective and how it ended was super important to Solaris' ongoing quest to reach the stars. So today, I'll be summarizing this quest's key points. If you're looking for a video that goes over the story quest from 3.0 to 3.3, then you can go refer to this video. After the events of 3.3 Part 1, being the banishment of Aleph-1 and also the Exostrider, designated Lahai-Roi, Star Trek Academy, specifically the Rebel College Department, is getting axed by the Space Trek Collective's Board of Directors. This is because the whole reason why Star Trek Academy was even founded in the first place was to do research on the Exostrider, with the express purpose of defeating Aleph-1. The idea was that even if the Trinodian was banished, the Exostrider could still remain in Lahai-Roi for further research, but if the giant mech disappeared as well, then that complicates things. Star Trek Academy is a place built by the Space Trek Collective and by proxy the Pioneers Association in collaboration with the Roya, and is funded by organizations all over the world. Of these organizations sponsoring Star Torch, the new Federation holds the biggest percentage in terms of resources allocated, be that in money, methodology, equipment, staffing, and others. Lene also mentions that the Rebel College Department uses up 2/3 of the Academy's budget and guesses that the new Federation can't be too happy about it, considering the lack of achievements that the department has won relative to the other departments. You can read more about it in the Exploration 100% documents in Lahai-Roi, but if you're too lazy, you can go check my video instead. Now, the reason why this is such a big deal in the first place is because Rebel College houses a lot of students. Some of these students were even moved out of their old university regardless of progress to become a synchronist if their compatibility comes out as positive. Iris in particular, being a student of Rebel College, will also have her entire education history stopped at Royan Preschool if this department disappears, so that's really bad. According to Alto, the other supporting boards are relatively okay with the collective's decision to axe Rebel College, provided that their nation's students are fully supported back home, or are allowed to easily transfer somewhere else. However, Lucilla disagrees with the decision, which leads to the panel between her and Space Trek Collective. Now let's talk about the panel in detail. The participants of this panel are 10 new Federation members, led by Cameral, the permanent secretary for the Space Trek Collective's Board of Directors. To avoid the new Federation's monopoly, Alto, an independent party, appoints Rover as the representative for the Black Shores. The main topic of discussion is for Lucilla and the Space Trek Collective Board to justify the existence of Rebel College. Considering that this entire department hinges on the existence of the Exostrider who has gone missing after the Aleph-1 incident, its absence also means that the program cannot continue. The decision thus is to either shut down the department or to at least suspend it indefinitely. Lucilla contests this, saying that even without the Exostrider, the Rebel College students were able to create life-saving technologies such as the Retroact Rain Barrier, which is vital against Overthrax's assault on Jinzhou, saving countless lives. Lucilla highlights the general education curriculum of Rebel College, citing that the developer was versed in engineering, void matters, and meteorology. However, Space Trek Collective argues that this is just a consequence of Rebel College having a general education program, meaning that the person who developed the barrier didn't necessarily need to be a synchronist. Rebel College's general education plan isn't even formally written on the department's white paper. A white paper is basically a document detailing a problem and a solution. In Rebel College's case, the problem would be Aleph-1, and the solution would be research on the Exostrider. This makes Lucilla's assertion irrelevant. Furthermore, as mentioned earlier, Rebel College uses far too much money compared to how little results it yields. Even if the Retroact Rain Barrier was a huge success, it would be far more efficient if the department was repurposed into a general education department. Lucilla counters this by saying that there are certain qualities that are only found in people who chose to be synchronists. On enrollment, all students of Rebel College are told that there is a large chance that they will all be relegated to a footnote in a footnote, meaning that their contributions will be extremely slim when all is said and done. They will all shed blood, sweat, and tears to be capable of piloting the Exostrider, and when that day actually arrives, there's a large chance that they wouldn't be the ones to do it. Lucilla cites a broken component developed by Amia, a deceased synchronist who died in Lahai-Roi sky following a tragic accident on an aircraft that came in contact with void matter. However, it was because of this failure that eventually the Star Ward Riseway could be built, a giant elevator that connects Lahai-Roi's underground to the surface. She states that this tenacity is a unique quality of those who, despite all odds, still chose to be synchronists. Alto backs up Lucilla's statement by providing publicly available information that among Blackshores' staff, a significant number of them are Star Torch alumni, one of them being Platia. And among these alumni, those who yield exceptional results are the Synchronists. Rover then adds that the Synchronists are the ones who will be able to find a way out of Solaris, implying that even without the Exostrider, the Synchronists alone are still the ones most capable of developing the technology to push humanity beyond Solaris in the post-Lament world. All this to say that it is wrong to simply view Rebel College under the lens of cost-effectiveness. Space Trek Collective, following this, concedes and acknowledges Rebel College's value as a department and an institution. They then offer a compromise. Rebel College will remain operational, but its curriculum will be subject to the guidance and review of the collective. This is because, as Rover said, those who are most capable to drive Solaris forward are the Synchronists, and only those who qualify can call themselves Synchronists. Lucilla refuses the deal and continues to press that the Synchronists are only as tenacious as they are precisely because of the current state of Rebel College. She then refers to an ongoing development of the department, a vehicle that can be purely driven using augmented resonance, the same technology used to pilot the Exostrider and is something that can only be developed by the Synchronists. The etheric sea is known to cause frequency interference to any instrument that approaches it, which is the reason why Solaris has a distinct lack of aircraft. This is something that's actually documented in one of the 1.0 side quests, if you remember, where we were asked to repair a few radio towers. According to the report, the height limit for where electronics and navigation equipment begin to be affected negatively is around 8,000 to 8,400 feet. For reference, aircraft in our world fly at around 15,000 to 25,000 feet. If this hypothetical vehicle can exist, that means humanity can quite literally punch a hole through the etheric sea to reach space as well as reintroduce commercial and military flight back to Solaris. However, the Space Trek Collective asks Lucilla if she can accept the responsibility of being the one to gamble on her students' lives to overcome the etheric sea. Lucilla is unable to answer immediately, but is rallied by all the Rebel College Synchronists who were present at the panel. She then replies with a yes. If death is required to reach the answer, for humanity to go beyond, then the Synchronists are more than willing to die for that dream. The conclusion of this quest marks two things. Solaris, specifically Star Torch Academy's Rebel College department, is developing a way to get real working aircraft back to the skies, and that Imeth gets to keep her degree. The debate was executed really well. Lucilla did not impose her will on her students because it wasn't her choice to make. It was the students, and they were the ones who stepped up. Typically when stories do these "we are the people" type stories, it ends up being really cringe. That was not what happened, and I'm really glad. I also liked that New Federation wasn't comically evil. I mean, they're still likely inhumane based on the NPC dialogues, but at least we know that they operate with reason. They didn't try to strong-arm Rebel College into disbanding, but had a legitimate reason to contest its value, and when the value was valid, they backed down. Cameral was also a good character, very logic-driven. Ultimately, she doesn't believe in throwing bodies at a problem to arrive at a solution. She's seen it happen before and seen all the good it did, which was to say absolutely nothing. She also understands that Lucilla's decisions don't only affect her and her students, but to everyone else who put in money to make Star Torch function the way that it does. Her words, her actions are no longer her own. She's a very rational person who buried her feelings for what she thinks is right, much like everyone else. She's a competent person, I think. Anyway, that's everything I got from Lucilla's Segue. This came out a little later, so sorry about that. Please like, comment what you liked about the quest, and maybe subscribe. Right, thank you. Bye.